And away we go.
JFK Files have been released.
But how much? That is the question.
Not enough. They supposedly wanted everything redacted apart from, they wanted everything redacted. They wanted nothing, almost next to nothing redacted, but they didn't want Israel to be mentioned at all in that. Even though Israel's the people that caused it. Israel wanted Kennedy dead. Multiple reasons. He wasn't willing to start a Vietnam War. He wasn't willing to start a war in Cuba, a second war in Cuba. He wasn't willing to attack Iran, and effectively, they were also big. The people that were running Israel, the people that run Israel, they were mad at the fact that Kennedy said, "We do not want. I'm trying to get a fucking pro-nuclearization treaty on nuclear weapons, and you're fucking testing nukes in Dimona. You have to stop." Kennedy got Ben Gurion out, and they wanted revenge for the human. Mossad idolized this bloke, first Prime Minister of Israel. They idolized him, and they took it to heart that they wanted to get him done because they wanted to get payback for what Kennedy did to Ben Gurion. He's a very well known person in Israel. He's now dead,
yeah.
but
He's even got an airport named after him.
Airport?
Yeah, Ben Gurion International Airport.
Yes. He also got a house. I think he got a library named after him as well.
It's quite a big deal there.
Yes. You have MAGA saying, "Oh, it was our own government, the CIA." No, it wasn't. It was Israel. Why do you keep lying to yourselves? Are you that brain dead? Who knows? So what else is there?
Well, phone just started to wake up.
Okay. So supposedly, yeah. Do you think with what's going on in with America and Canada, do you think there'll be closer ties to the UK from Canada?
Yes.
Do you think this might pull everybody into form? Do you think this will pull Australia and them into forming CANZUK?
Yes.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it depends.
Do you think we could do you think it could compete with the European Union?
Maybe.
Do you think we could get other foreign Commonwealth countries to join?
No.
You don't think Singapore would be willing to join?
No. Singapore got its own things going on.
So where do we go from here with CANZUK?
Well, I think it comes down to what happens in the United States if Canada is really on its last nerves with the US.
I think it is. Like, he wants to, as much as I want to say it, I think they would be better. But I honestly do think Canada will be better off in joining America. Not all of it. I think some parts.
Some parts, yeah.
What's left of it might end up joining. If CANZUK gets what we think, if America gets what they want, right? Western territory, so Alberta, Yukon, and effectively the Northwest Territories, right? That only leaves that only leaves Alberta. No, that only leaves Ontario, Quebec, and Toronto, effectively. Then again, once that's done, Canada will be like a tiny territory to the point where it could be absorbed. Do you think this will embolden China to attack Taiwan?
How would that be any relevant?
Well, they might think, well, America might be distracted with it trying to take over Canada. Maybe this might be their opportunity.
Even if China does want to take over Taiwan, the United States is going to take attention of it immediately, and they're going to do something. Just because they're distracted now doesn't mean they aren't aware of what other countries are doing.
Do you think America will reach a peace deal with where Ukraine will reach a peace deal with Russia?
Yes.
Is that what's foretold to happen?
It is what's foretold to happen.
So where do we go from here? Is the CANZUK basically written in stone now?
Not yet.
Is there groups of people that don't want CANZUK?
Well, it's not on the plans at the moment.
What is CANZUK?
CANZUK. It's not written in stone. It's not in the documents about an exact
you're saying
there
are documents.
I'm not saying there are documents. I'm saying an idea of CANZUK existing is not in some form of recollection.
It's in the subconscious of some people, but it's not in the subconscious of everyone.
Yes,
It's in this subcategory, but it's not the majority of people.
exactly.
Do you think this will push people to think that it could be the majority of people?
Maybe. Just not now. Certainly not now.
Do you think this could reform on us with those territories certain territories rejoining Britain in some way or form?
No.
Do you think this whole thing that's going on will lead to more countries combining, joining forces and becoming one nation?
Not every country.
Do you think it'll lead to some smaller countries?
Yes. Some
Do you
countries.
think it'll lead to Ireland being absorbed by someone?
No. Not at the moment.
Do you think this will use? Do you think these people will use this as an excuse to form a European government or a European Union type nation?
It won't be enough.
Not yet, but they will. They want it.
They could, but it's not enough at the moment. There are people in the European Union that are pretty much opposed to European Union nations, like, merging into one collective mega nation.
They're against it for now, but let's be real here. When times get tough and you're scared that you might be destroyed, like a World War II type situation, World War III type situation, a lot of countries would join forces.
Well, they will join forces militarily, but that doesn't mean they will join forces in terms of governments or other related governance. I don't know how else to say about it. They will join forces militarily, most likely, but everything else is out of the question, mostly.
Yes, no.
Who knows?
Who knows? So what else is there?
200 years after the creation of Braille, blind people in Mali say it has allowed them to fit in.
Mali.
Yeah, Mali.
So what's the future? So what are the potential futures for the UK as it stands now?
So, as it stands now for the United Kingdom, they will take advantages of closing ties with other English-speaking nations.
No, I mean for the ethnic population.
Oh, the population of the UK.
Yes.
The net migration flow will continue to go up.
Is there any way to stop this?
Yes, but it's not an option that a lot of people will want.
So basically revolution.
Possibly.
Which I always kind of feel like they're pushing us to that.
They are.
In the sense that they're pushing people to their boiling point.
Yeah, I've seen loads of protests in Manchester and other parts of the UK.
Manchester fucking heavily Labour place.
Yes, Manchester has strong Labour support.
Why do you think so many people are buying into reform when realistically they're a bunch of fucking lies?
Well, the thing is, there are people in the UK, they are sick and tired of the current system where the government in charge is either Labour or the Conservative Party. So people, mostly on the right, are voting for reform because it's a party that is newly formed. They believe it's mostly controlled by its supporters,
But
and
it's not though. It's controlled by Muslims.
like I said, they believe it's controlled by its supporters.
Yeah.
And people believe that Reform is an alternative right-wing party.
I used to believe that until I saw what was truly going on there. It's sad, but yeah. Well, it's only a matter of time. All nations die.
The time will come.
Yes. All nations die.
Only time will tell. 9 Just Stop Oil protesters convicted after planning to glue themselves to Heathrow runway.
So what's Starmer's reaction to that? They're fucking insane.
I'm looking for that right now.
Or he supports the fucking right to protest.
See, 9 Just
I'm
Stop.
surprised we haven't seen more people in the UK at least try and burn Teslas down. Or commit crimes against people with Teslas. They can do it, but they'll get in trouble. But who knows? So what else is there?
Aircraft, cars, and more. What could be hit by duties on Canada and Mexico?
Canada doesn't have any Mexico doesn't have any bad blood between Mexico. Mexico and Trump are doing fine.
For now.
There's no bad blood between them and Mexico. He's not going to do trade tariffs on Mexico, or at least he's focusing mainly in Canada. It's not. He's got a good supposedly got a good relationship with Mexico. It's only Canada that he's pissed with. Because Mexico's actually decided to do something at the border. Canada hasn't. Don't get me wrong, he's probably still not in a lovey-dovey relationship with Canada, but you got to remember, Scheinbaum's a Jew, and he tends to love the Jews, so he's going to go easy on them.
Yeah.
You elect a guy that's supposedly going to be neutral, right? And yet you elect a guy that loves the Jews. You've also got elected a guy that basically is big pals with Larry Fink from BlackRock. Well, yeah, who knows? But the
EU mandates Apple to open up iPhone, iOS to competitors under Digital Markets Act.
I can't see how. I can't see how. That shit like that might even draw the ire fucking out of Trump. Because didn't he say he's very protective of American companies?
Yes, for it, third-party smartwatches must be able to display and interact with iOS notifications by the end of 2025, likely coinciding with iOS 19.2 or earlier.
Or they could just tell you go fuck yourself. What do you think likely chances that this whole thing with Canada will lead to massive boycotts or literally restrictions heavily on other American companies, specifically American companies that are owned? Do you think this shit show with America, right, will inspire make companies realize maybe we should be developing our own industries and not have them owned by Americans?
That's the plan.
Is it now?
Yes, because if countries are focusing on their own labor and their own resources, America doesn't have much to give its
Do you think
dependency on.
Do you think Britain will develop its own defense industry, or do you think it'll still be reliant heavily on America?
Might still rely on the United States for defense through NATO.
No, I mean their own defense industry, where basically they have their defense industry with others. They do co-op stuff, but they're going to build out and extend their own thing, so it's not fully reliant on America.
Yeah, I think that will still continue.
What's up?
Not much.
So what are we talking about?
We're basically questioning the point: will the UK sees what's going on in America? Will the UK start to develop and build out their own defense industry? So, they already have their own defense industry, but I'm going to say, are they going to become more reliant, so they're not fully reliant on America for certain parts? Because the way things are right now, right, specialty components are Britain creates specialty components for defense stuff, right? Like Britain's a major defense player, right? It has a bunch of defense companies, but they make specific components for certain American products, which to a certain extent, I don't think possibly the Americans could make themselves, but it might take time to divest themselves from that so they can actually make them. Americans probably own the patents, but they probably don't have the technology or the manufacturing skills to make them on an instant. I also question, will this with what's going on in America, will this force Britain and them to stop selling their companies out to Americans simply just as soon as they get to a certain level, right? You always hear it in the news, such and such company sells out to American, effectively to basically when they're just getting started. Before they even conquer, just about when they're getting started or just about to go on tend to sell out. I'm hoping that this actually develops and builds a more domestic industry. So, what do you think about Europe? Do you think Europe will end up making their own defense industry instead of mixing it between multiple different companies, right? Multiple different countries. I wonder if they're going to come together and just form one massive defense. Have all of them work together and build up a defense industry.
That is likely.
Because I hear about certain things in Europe, right? Their defense equipment is actually quite top of the range. Japan has got major defense treaties with us, right? Who do you think Japan would pick over if they had to choose between Britain or UK? Who do you think it would be? Do you think it would be America or do you think it would be UK?
I think it would be the UK.
Really? I'm surprised. I thought it would have been America. What makes you say the UK?
Not sure. I'm still certain it's the US.
You just said the UK.
Yeah, I didn't hear the other option, what you said.
UK or US?
US, for sure.
Who do you think's the people forcing Japan to take illegals? To take foreigners?
There are
do you think it's the US that's pushing for this? Or do you think it's someone else?
It's someone else.
Do you think it's being funded by America or was being funded by America?
I don't think there's any American affiliation whatsoever.
Well, I think there is.
How so?
I'm pretty sure the WEF's funding that shit, and I'm pretty sure America was funding the WEF for a certain point of time under USAID.
Yes. USAID.
But that's just USAID. That's not talking about what type of scumbaggery we have through. Am I the only one that wants to kind of audit what the Commonwealth actually spends its money on? Because I kind of do. Because I feel like USAID is bad. I wonder what the Commonwealth spends their money on. So what else is there?
Germany reopens embassy in Syria after 13-year closure.
I'm not sure that's a good idea. Didn't Syria murder Christians or like Jew certain types of ethnic people?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Concerning.
Germany reopens its embassy in Damascus on Thursday, 13 years after it was shut in the earlier days of Syria's civil war. Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock reopened the embassy during a visit to Damascus, a second since the fall of former President Bashar Assad in December.
As much as they say, oh, he's an evil Bashar al-Assad, I don't think he was that bad of a man, right? Well, he protected ethnic minorities. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
So what else in the news?
Well, I'm asking.
Michelle Obama makes cheeky Barack Obama bedroom confession.
Wait, what? Say that one more time?
Michelle Obama is the first lady of nighttime rituals. The becoming author cheekily revealed that she looks forward to going to sleep with husband of 32 years, Barack Obama,
But
every night.
aren't they getting divorced?
Barack Obama, Michelle Obama?
Yeah, I'm
Or-
pretty sure they're getting divorced.
Why?
Because I'm pretty sure he has a side mistress. Oh, I'm pretty sure Obama has a side mistress, and I'm pretty sure he's gay.
Aren't they all? I would assume that they would all be open to that. I mean, Michelle is allegedly
Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Yes.
I never. I don't think I heard that they were getting a divorce. Have you, John?
Pretty sure.
This is the first time I'm
pretty
hearing
sure
about
they
this.
were looking at freaking or like marital divorce attorneys.
That's news to me.
Pretty sure it was articles that was floating about that they were getting divorced. I think it was even in the newspapers at one point. Wouldn't surprise me. Like, what do they really have in common? Like, they were only. He probably wants to enjoy the rest of his fucking life. He wants to play golf. He probably is just done with it. And he just wants to fucking live on with his life. Like, he's not in the public eye anymore. Let's be real here. He's not going to be running for office or anything. I suppose if he really wanted to, he could probably run for government in a local Congress seat. But why the hell would you do that after being president? Wait, has there ever been someone that actually done that? Became president and then went back to being congressman?
I think one of the Bushes said after he became president, he wanted to become a Supreme Court judge, and he did that. I'm just not sure which one of the Bushes it was, but I think that's as close as I can think of or recall. Well, he always wanted to become a Supreme Court judge, and he got that.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, let's talk about Barack Obama real quick. Would you guys want him? Wait, actually, no. Was he a better president than Joe Biden?
Oh, that's a
They
good
were
question.
both shite. Let's be real here.
But hypothetically, how would you answer it?
I personally would have chosen none of them because I don't actually think. I think realistically, if you look back at Hillary Clinton in 2008, and you look back at Hillary Clinton and Obama in 2008, first of all, you broke the law. You came here illegally. You'll pay a small fine, and you'll be sent to the back of the queue if you came here illegally. I don't think Trump would have done that. Said that thing. But again, some of the things that they were saying back then, they make them sound like they're freaking Republicans or conservative. Some of the things they say, right, and then they got to take as like, oh, it's illegal. Like nowadays, if you even speak of like talking about deporting people to a Democrat, they'll say, "Oh, you're a freaking evil person." And they'll basically say you're a racist.
Hey guys,
But wasn't Obama and freaking Hillary the most ardent leftists saying, You admit a crime, you should probably be forced to leave the country.
Hey, isn't Hillary Clinton the most beautiful woman in the world?
I personally believe
Are
that
you
she's on.
serious?
I personally believe that it was up to. If she was giving protection, I can guarantee she would have left Bill a long, long time ago.
Wait, hold on. What'd you say, John May?
I said, are you serious? What you said about Hillary Clinton?
I personally, honestly do believe that if she got security clearance and she had like security people, I doubt she would freaking be with Bill.
Yeah, not John May. I wasn't serious. I was joking. But you're absolutely right, Risk. If she did not have that if she didn't have all that stuff that she has with Bill Clinton, she would have left him a long time ago. And she probably would have got with Pete Davidson. Well, I thought they were sleeping together. I assumed.
God.
I felt like I heard that somewhere. It's probably just a rumor.
Probably.
But this is probably like a while ago though. But anyways, no, Hillary probably would have left her husband a long time ago. I mean, Bill is, how old is Bill?
Even Bill Clinton, in modern day terms, he would be a moderate conservative. Compared to now. Compared to the leftists that they've got in that party now, he would be classed as a fucking conservative with politics.
And he'd still be young enough to run for president again.
He did his 2 terms, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Like, imagine.
Nobody likes to talk about it, but some of the certain of these Democrat leaders, right? Some of them you would claim, you could probably make the case that some of them in modern day times, they would not be lit.
That's true.
At a certain point because they're too conservative. You've always got the chance that maybe they would just vote for him saying as well as a Democrat, but I think that if he were to say some of the things that they actually truly believe, they'd probably get booed at. People that that run that party, because that party has been taken over by activists.
Well, yeah. But activists are our greatest citizens, right?
So you think it's okay for people to just storm private property and then they give it, and then they say, then they use the excuse, then they use the excuse like, well, didn't you guys do that during freaking January 6th?
And vandalize people's property.
They invaded Trump's. They tried to occupy Trump Tower,
yeah, that's
New York.
True. Yeah,
and they failed.
They failed, but then they got arrested for it. Like you can protest all you want outside the building.
Oh, they got their minutes of fame.
As long as you're not on their fucking property, I can guarantee it. Some of them would probably, if you want Trump's private property, I can guarantee you he'd probably tell you to get out, or ban you or effectively kick you off the land.
Well,
to a certain extent, they own the property. They can kick you off the land if they really want to, but is it morally right? Probably not. But who knows? So who do the Democrats have for their future leaders?
Well, there's that.
Talked about AOC and Hakeem Jeffries the last fucking poll. Last podcast.
Wait, guys. They might have the man, the myth, the legend.
Don't see it.
I personally think as much as I'm not a big fan of Tim Walz, I honestly think if they had him running as the president and her running as a VP, they might have had a better chance.
I'd say the same, actually.
That's the sad part is you're probably right.
Yes.
It's like the thing is that he clearly has more experience. He's clearly been in politics for a long, long time. He clearly knows the game.
And he's currently a governor of Minnesota, so he's currently inexperienced within
running
the experience
a state.
Yes, running a state.
Might not
and
be a
passing
great
executive
might not
orders within a state.
Well, but he's ran a state.
And he's at least in the position that he wants to go for at the federal level.
Hey guys, I thought it was a great idea that he put tampons in men's bathrooms. That was fabulous.
I love how Trump used that to his benefit. This guy's called Tampon Tim. You've got as much as you've got to give it to Trump, right? He knows how to freaking work a room. He knows how to freaking get people laughing. He knows how to freaking turn people against someone. He's already, as much as you hate him for it, right? He's already trying to do that to Thomas Massey, the only guy that's not funded by Israel. or APAC. The guy that's the most critical of APAC and sort of taking money from them. But again, who do they have that could be a future leader? They got that Crockett person that's in the freaking in the House of Representatives, but she's supposedly batshit crazy. AOC, no, she's. You tell me, you're saying to me at some point, Jamie, that she's potentially running.
Yeah, and she wants to run for president in the next election cycle.
A question to you: I don't honestly. We're not talking about American politics. I don't honestly see who could be our next leader, right?
I don't either. I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, I can't see who could be our next leader because I can guarantee you, Starmer will be ousted. He won't make it to 2029. He'll be removed. There'll still some other person. They'll probably. Here's what I think they're going to do. They're going to Canada us, right? Or I suppose you could say they'll Brit us. Because what they've done to Canada is effectively what they've done to us for decades. It's still a person. It's not democracy. The first thing I have to say is I think America might have something that we don't. An actual democracy. Well, if the president does, nobody likes the president. Actually, does America actually have that?
Have what?
Have democracy. Because don't they have a similar situation, right? Where they are the second in command, right? They put the guy they really want in president, right? And the guy that doesn't freaking do what we tell him to do, they'll just fucking have him iced and then replace him. No election needed. They just instill the secondary person on the ticket. I don't honestly think the founding fathers thought that through, the VP. In the sense that, well, they just instill one person, they put the guy they really want in the secondary thing, have that guy out, he instantly becomes president, and you don't have to go, you don't democratically have to be elected for him, because they're not exactly electing the VP, are they? That's kind of instilled, picked, ain't it? Handpicked. Was there such thing called a VP back in the day? The first president?
President for the first president of the United States.
Was there something like that? Because it was never really a thing. I don't think at the start. It's never really mentioned at the start, is it?
No, it wasn't. I don't think that was a thing at the start. It came in later, a couple of years later, and stuck ever since.
Who knows?
Who knows?
What else is there?
The spring equinox is here. What does that mean? The vernal equinox arrives on Thursday, marking the start of spring in the northern hemisphere and fall in the southern hemisphere. Equinoxes are unique moments where both the north and south poles receive sunlight simultaneously. The northern
Who benefits from... Yeah. Who benefits the most out of you in Ukraine?
The one pulling the strings.
Who's pulling the strings?
You know who's pulling the strings.
I don't know the name of it. I know there's people pulling the strings. I don't know the fucking names of them. I presume I know who's pulling the strings. I'm presuming
Yes, that's one of them.
The WEF, Club of Rome, the Bankers of Israel, probably the Freemasons or Illuminati at some point, or maybe there might be someone even more important than them. But I know for a certain fact that we have no real say in what's going on. And they seem adamant on freaking shoving us to a war that we cannot win. Is there a plan to have us literally fight this war and that, and then unleash the third world hordes on the unsuspecting populace?
That's a good question.
Is that the plan? Is that what you've been told what's happening? Because I have my suspicions that's what's happening, but
they don't say it explicitly, but they tell in riddles.
Something tell in riddle. They want us to send. They want us. Did you hear about the whole thing in Muslim?
Well, what about in London?
Sadiq Khan has decided he's going to make Muslim-only Muslim-only neighborhoods.
I'm surprised that wasn't a thing sooner.
They're going to build houses. These houses haven't been built yet in new areas.
And that's the thing
which will be right next to mosques.
Dang, Muslims only? Ain't that a little discriminative?
Yes, it is. It's almost effectively like the freaking black. It's almost like the segregation laws in South Africa and America.
No, but in all seriousness, though, like that
it is fucked though.
Yeah, it's messed. Like
that's like saying, why don't we? Again, though, I suppose you could say that. I'm like, Trump's also going heavily after South Africa as well.
You said what? You said about South Africa?
He's going heavily after South Africa, which I don't blame him for. He's going after. He's trying to get the Cape Cod. I think he wants the Cape Cod trade zone. I think he wants to help get Cape Cod independence, and then get the Cape Cod independence because that's a massive good trade zone, and that's right next to the Red Sea. If he can get them independence, right, he'll have massive sway and control over that corridor, which would be great for trade. And it'll give them extra trade routes. Not to mention, it would also potentially be another way to benefit. And also having another ally in Africa. Benefits. Trump never does anything without benefits. That doesn't benefit America. But I see that as an opportunity, though, because it's massive opportunities for trade. So what else is there?
Let's see. First responders drive through Miami-Dade bushfire. A brush fire caused temporary closures on US 1, affecting traffic for those entering or leaving the Florida Keys. Cardsound Road remained closed due to the fire, as reported by Kristen Livingood from Monroe County.
Interesting.
Yeah. Is there any way for the UK to get bigger in the plans?
Other than economical alliances,
Territory-wise?
no. Nothing
So we're stuck to
territory-wise.
be a relevant pit stage.
Exactly.
Can't we just be absorbed by a fucking bigger nation?
Yes, that can be possible.
When?
Who knows?
I'm sick and tired of being a pit state that has no power.
Well,
Like, we're almost as worthless and powerless as freaking Singapore.
hold on. Singapore may be small, but its people are rich.
What's that gonna fucking do when you're rich? Rich can't fucking save you from military rockets.
If you have a lot of money, there's not much problems with to give a damn about.
Money can't help you when you're a bastard island. Do you think Ireland would ever rejoin us?
No.
Do you think the UK will break up?
In what way?
E.g., Scotland becomes independent.
Gotta wait a couple decades for Scotland independence to be reunited again.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know.
Musk's Twitter X sues Modi's government in censorship battle.
X what?
X, or Twitter, has filed a lawsuit against New Delhi, claiming that India's IT ministry unlawfully expanded censorship powers for removing online content.
Musk.
Well, to be fair, wasn't he big fans of Moody for a while? I bet he was just trying to get a second verse. Who knows? Do you think Tesla will still be around?
Yes.
Do you think EVs will actually fail, either succeed, or do you think they're doomed to fail?
They still exist, but they're not going to be as successful as they are now.
Okay, so you think they'll go the way of hydrogen?
Yes. Hydrogen is the future. It's the future of.
Is that because
engines.
there's too many powerful people that really want oil and gas?
Yes.
Good to know. Do you think they'll still be profitable? Is that the reason why Musk and the rest of them are moving Tesla to become more of an AI player instead of cars?
Yes, because technology is everywhere, and it's going to continue to develop and become more advanced.
And they realize that literally EVs has limits to what you can do, and I don't think people really want them.
Exactly. There are limits to electric vehicles in general, especially the power source, where the electricity comes from to even charge the electric vehicles.
Do you think governments will actually be able to do you think governments will get away with being able to force people to adopt EVs?
For a while, but it's going to catch up to them eventually. People will know.
Okay, who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? So what else is there?
A former studio engineer is charged with stealing unreleased Eminem music and selling it online.
Wait, what?
A former sound engineer at Eminem Studio, Joseph Strange, has been charged with copyright infringement and interstate transportation of stolen goods for allegedly stealing and distributing over 25 unreleased Eminem songs online.
You don't own shit, so copyright is fucking theft. Copyright can't be theft if you own nothing.
And as for Eminem,
You don't get to own movies. You don't own the video games you buy. You don't own the phone you buy. You don't own anything. You don't own the house. You don't own your house. You don't own anything, right? So how can it be theft when they steal something? When you watch something on another platform, right? How can it be theft when literally you're never going to be able to own anything in the first place? It's just an excuse to keep these fucking people rich. You don't own anything. The state takes too much money in my opinion to begin with. The government was never supposed to be able to tax you. At least not in America. Founding fathers were against taxation. They fucking started a revolution to get away from tax. And now you pay more tax than what you would ever have paid during the freaking American Revolution. During back in the old days of Britain. But yeah. And you don't even get representation. You don't even know what you're fucking paying for, to a certain extent.
That's true. It's been a while since we heard about Eminem. Didn't he film something for a movie the last time we talked about him?
I would have known.
I don't know anything about Eminem.
Me neither. I don't really listen to the guy.
To be fair, I don't really listen to many musicians anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to music.
Realize that most of them are part of the Illuminati. It doesn't really make friends.
Yeah, most of them are sellouts.
There are some, but they are not part of it. There are some decent people in Hollywood, but they're effectively drowned out. They have next to no marginal say.
You think John Cena is part of the club?
Of course he's part of the club.
Of course he's a part of it. He's not just like his fucking real name. He's probably a Jew.
No, John Cena is actually his real name. Apparently, as we know. Like, John Cena is pretty much his real name. But
the whole thing is, remember the way that they do that WWE is they own you own your likeness if you use your name. They own your likeness, and you're paying them money every single freaking so often. That's the reason why The Rock changed his name, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, because if he used The Rock, he would be if he used Dwayne Johnson, he would be having to pay WWE money, right? So he changed his name, changed himself to The Rock.
Well, no, I think he used his name Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, so he's now using his show name The Rock. I think he made a deal so he could use his name now and again, right? But at the start he couldn't do that. He didn't do it because he wanted to save money. He wanted to make money.
No, I think he made somewhat of it. I think the WWE is letting him use his stuff that he used in WWE when he was like an active competitor. Because I think before he didn't have the rights to use his catchphrases, use all of that stuff, and this and that, etc. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he has the right to use that, whatever he said, his catchphrases now, or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't really know. But yeah, he probably would have used the name The Rock if if he had to. Probably, I'm not sure.
Probably.
He probably would have used that name. But, he opted for his real name, Dwayne Johnson. Because,
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, John Cena did that thing on stage, so I was like, yeah, he's just to get better movie roles and better roles in general.
What thing on stage? Wear the dress?
Well, no, he was naked. I think the dress... No, I mean, I think the dress thing was part of a movie. I did not watch that because I'm not going to see... I refuse to watch a movie about another man in drag.
Well, he wants money. He's willing to sell his soul.
Yeah.
Some people sell their soul.
I mean, yeah, it's that's what it's all about. It's all about money, getting more notoriety. Shoot. I mean, I'm pretty sure he even said he wouldn't have a kid because he was too selfish. And although
the point is, you could say the same thing. You could say the same about Ronald Reagan to a certain point.
I mean,
I think there are certain things about him. I don't think they were willing to push him that much. If he wanted to, if he was willing to sell his soul at a certain point, he probably could have become famous as what he wants. But again, I don't think I think they realized early on that maybe this guy probably wouldn't sell his soul. I don't think they really wanted to give him that deal. I'm starting to think that maybe they don't give the deal to everybody. They only give it to the people they really like. But they have to sell their soul.
Yeah, I would even. Yeah, it's like, they offer that deal up to people who they can probably use. They could probably use for a while,
or people they think they can use, or the people that they think that might be of some use to them.
Yeah,
and they think that would actually take the deal.
And some people who probably could probably be of use to them. Some of them don't sell their souls. They just say
some of them. The reason I think that their soul stance on certain things. I think they realized early on maybe there's probably no chance that we could probably convert Kennedy. There's probably no chance they could have converted Ronald Reagan. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they did, and maybe they thingy. But for a certain point, he wasn't getting roles. His career was fading. Like, he was very big in the freaking in the union space, but he wasn't really that big of an actor. He never really broke out or did anything major. Started a couple of ads, but for big brands. But other than that, that's simply just because he didn't. I don't think he sold his soul. He wasn't one to sell soul, so he was kind of limited to what he could do. And then to the point, he pushed him to the point where he decided to go. I'm just going to run for Congress in LA, governor in LA.
I mean, hey, man. I mean, some people
Then
just
he ran for president.
Hey, some people just don't want to go down that route. That's respectable. I'll be honest. I feel like if I was an actor and I reached the height of my career, I'd probably retire right there. Because I'm not going to lie. I think Chris Tucker, he reached the height of his career, and then after that, he stopped acting and just pursued other things.
I think that's what Jim Carrey wanted to do, but then he realised he spent money like a fucking trout. He had no choice being broke.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I think if I were to reach the height of my career in a certain profession, I would probably.
And I had the money, and I didn't spend money like a trout.
I would probably
to the point where I was like bankrupt.
I'd probably either keep going to see how far I would go, or I would just like stop from there. Be like, okay, and then come back.
I think what I would do is like once I made it, I'd be focused on passion projects, like movies I actually enjoy, not movies just to make money. Like I'd focus. Maybe I'd do a couple movies that I like to enjoy, or ones that I think would be really good to do. Ones that probably won't make that much money, but would be fun to film, fun to do, and would probably be a blast to make. Yeah. I think that's what George Lucas did for a while on that, right? And he knew for a fact his artsy movies wouldn't make money, right? Wouldn't make money, and people would probably not want to watch them, but he made them for himself because he already made it. He was already a billionaire, or very wealthy at the time. He thought, well...
Yeah, so he can pretty much...
Yeah, he basically decided, I'm going to make the movies I want to make. If they want to watch it, they can fine. If not... So
pretty much, he was able to blow money.
The thing with George Lucas is as well, he was able to swindle himself to the point where he owned his entire IP, or to a certain point where he didn't own the first original three, but he was able to make enough money on them to the fact that he was able to own the Next Generation trilogy. Like, he didn't own the licensing rights, the catalog rights, the ones in 21st Century Fox, because they were owned by Fox, the original ones, or at least the IP rights to them anyway. And when Disney bought Fox, they gained the IP rights to the original three. Same with a bunch of other IP. So what else is there? Is that an ad?
Do you remember that, Eric?
Oh yeah, I know that's that song.
I do not. Where is it from? Is it from
Eurovision, Australia?
Eric, we had this discussion, Eric, about the meaning of the song. You know.
What?
How long ago was that discussion?
It was ages ago, like a couple of weeks.
He's not going to remember.
Fair enough, but the title song is literally called Milkshake.
Yeah, no. When you said the name of the song, I started to kind of remember. Put two. Milkshake. Is it the homo sec?
No, it's the one that was basically it's going like state of mind.
Is it the very flamboyant song?
No, wait. Kind of flamboyant, but sort of. Is it
the homosexual song?
It's nowhere near as bad as the what Lithuania's one, where basically there were a guy was basically body half naked and basically wearing this weird yellow top, green top.
What does music become?
Something.
Nothing special.
Have you guys heard of this artist named C China, or just China?
Of a China?
Her name is C China. She made a song called Peggy.
Peggy in what way?
Pretty much, she talks about pegging men.
Why would they make a song about that? Is that? I
do not know. But she's from the UK.
Well, of course, we have too many libs there. Supposedly, we're going to be getting influxes of you lot soon.
Of what?
Of you lot. Supposedly, there'll be tons of Americans coming over here to live.
I wonder what.
Because they hate Trump that much. So happy for that.
Hey, Riz. Some of us are going over there. Doesn't that make you happy?
No, not really. It's not the right ones. Come and help us make that happen. But I doubt they'll be. I don't think these people will be very coming to help us when Islam happened. No, we want the people who are actually going to help us defend ourselves. Like we're being invaded. We don't need more people that's not going to freaking make the country worse.
But Sharia
Even
law.
Canada, Eric, Canada said we do not want your crazy ass people from LA here. Just the same thing with like people in Texas. We don't want people from California here.
But risk the Muslims in Sharia law. It's great.
They effectively want me dead. Want us dead.
Yeah, no, that's true. I was joking. It's not great.
No, the fact that nobody can see it, but it's the truth.
Yeah, they think that they're just superior people when they're not. But yeah, like if Americans come there and they're not even going to help you, it's like there's no point.
Well, America still has a presence here. They've got 5 military bases.
That's true.
Perfect start. They could help us. With those military bases. It'd come very handy for when shit hits the fan.
That's true.
Question: I wonder, will they actually help us when shit hits the fan, or will we have destroyed what's left? In my view, Canada has to freaking join America, and we need to join them as well.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Was multiple left-leaning liberal Americans moving to Britain? Was that exactly part of the plan? Eric, no, Jamie.
People that support the Liberal Party of Canada moving to the UK.
No, I mean the Liberal Party, the Liberal people in America moving to the UK. Was that part of the plan?
No, it wasn't part of the plan, but it still happened anyway. They just got with it.
God, who knows? Well, we're here. We just all enjoy it.
That's true. We know what's going to happen, but no one else does.
Still, the vast majority know. There's a lot of people that know. Right? The vast majority of people that vote in Reform probably know what's happening. They know the state of the country. They can see the signs. It's only going to end one way.
Well, speaking of Reform UK Row leaked messages reveal Nigel Farage fury with Rupert Lowe.
Well, he doesn't. None of us like him. He's so, as far as I'm concerned, he's so like to the fucking Muslims.
Hey, he's just in it for the 4 wives. I feel like
don't get me wrong. I don't hate all Muslims. I don't hate Muslims at all. I just don't like. I think there are people. As long as they allow us, as long as they give us the heck. Realistically, if they were to give us the same rights as Saudi Arabia, of Dubai, right? They let us go to the park. They allow women to dress how they want. They allow us to go to the pool. We can wear what we want, long as we're protected. Like Dubai's not a bad place. I've been to Dubai. It's not a bad place. Very safe.
I feel like the Americanized Muslims are not a threat.
No, they're not a threat. No, they're not. But the people,
because it's like
but the people that we're important, Eric, right? The people that we're important, right? They're coming mainly from Syria.
Jeez.
In our places. In Afghanistan.
Jeez.
And sometimes Morocco.
No. Sometimes Morocco.
So basically the places where even the Saudis, the people of Dubai even kicked out.
Dang, they got people out?
No, so the people that got kicked out of the people that Saudis kicked out long ago from their fucking country, right? Some of them are here. Right? People that would never be allowed to stay in Dubai because they would deem them because they deemed them too radical. They deemed them as radical extremists.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yep. But yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
It is what it is, and it was what it was.
And so on and so forth.
When do you think things will get better or worse?
Worse.
Worse, of course. Is
there ways to save our nation? Do you think we're being taught a lie? Do you think the British people are being taught a lie? Do you think so? What do you think we can vote our way out of this, or do you think it'll come something else?
It's likely we can vote our way out of this, but if not, it will go down to something else.
Do you think we could? Do you think reform will be enough?
It will not.
As they are now.
They will not.
I don't think they would be either.
Exactly.
I don't think they're strong enough. He's basically said he's the guy that's been pro fucking them. Oh, we need to deport these people, right? Basically sacked the most pro deportation guy in their party. What does that tell you? No interest in deporting.
So what else in the news?
I don't know.
Let me just say what else is there. Kirsty Coventry elected first female president of International Olympic Committee.
So another unelected organization.
Kirsty Coventry has been elected the first female president of the International Olympic Committee, marking a historic milestone for the organization. The final vote took place in Costa Navarino, Greece, confirming Coventry as the IOC's 10th leader in 131 years.
Here's some interesting things. The highly related defense stocks investors are buying up. Defense stocks have surged as investors expect governments across Europe to ramp up spending following recent developments in geopolitical tensions. A rally in UK defense stocks helped propel the FTSE 100 to a record high close to 8,900 points. This came following a fiery exchange between US President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at a meeting in the White House on Friday. European leaders then assembled in London on Sunday for emergency talks on finding a way forward to help end Russia-Ukraine war. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said Europe must act to support Ukraine and that the UK and France would lead a coalition of the willing to secure peace. The summit saw European leaders agree to boost defence spending. Starmer had already set out plans last week to increase the UK spending to 2.5% domestic product by 20%, up from its current level of 2.3%, with the target of reaching 3% in the next parliament. Monday, the White House then announced that the US would pause military aid to Ukraine. Meanwhile, Ursula von der Leyen, Rolls-Royce went up, BA Systems, Rheinmetall. Okay, so what else is there? So what else is that?
A handful of things. Just gotta find which one. That is the question.
Are these people fucking retarded?
Was it now?
Watchdog brands next ad irresponsible on body image concerns. Oh, fuck off.
What body image concerns? What kind of body image concerns?
Basically too skinny. They're not fat enough. They're not obese. Whales. Come on, dude. People want to see people look attractive. They don't want to see blobbies. Like, if they wanted that, they'd freaking go to a local. They would go to buy the stuff from local Walmart. They want to feel like they're young. They want to feel like they're hip. They want to feel like they're trendy, and they also want to feel like they're a freaking fashionista. Like, come on, it's a fucking outfit. Get a grip. 10 cent. What's going on? 10 cent. Greggs. When the fuck did Greggs become 1,800 a share? So what do you think will happen with pubs? Do you think pubs will become more centralised, more controlled by big corporations than like individuals? At least in the UK, Jamie.
I think pubs will just be a thing of the past.
So you think pubs will be non-existent in the UK?
No, they'll still exist. It's just they won't serve much of a purpose in the next few years.
So you feel like there'll be groups. So you feel like groups like Witherspoons won't have much of a purpose. Offer a cheap meal. They offer a cheap meal for affordable pricing.
They do, yes.
People that want something. I think there'll be more restaurant than focused on than alcohol.
Exactly.
And then you have do you think there'll be less UK restaurants altogether?
Possibly.
Do you think carvery restaurants will be non-existent? Like Toby's Carvery, do you think that'll be non-existent in the UK?
I'm absolutely.
You don't think people will want a good English lunch?
Yes, they would.
I think people will still want beef.
But there won't be much options in the next few years.
Why? Because I want to make us eat bugs.
No, because the rise of foreign chains in the UK is growing gradually.
Yes, but people will always want a piece of home.
Exactly. They would.
That's why there'll still be a reason for them. But you've also got brands like Miller and Carter and all them as well. Like they're always still going to have people, wherever they still exist, owned by the same people. Do you think we sold too many of our companies abroad to foreigners?
Yeah.
How do we get that back?
Well, you make a deal for a lifetime that they can't refuse.
No, I mean, how do we just create new brands that basically outcompete and destroy them? That'd be harder than you think, wouldn't it?
It is, exactly.
So what does the UK do very well? You seem to be struggling.
I'm thinking, because where do I begin, I wonder?
We suppose we do extremely well in banking. A lot of our banks do extremely well.
Yeah, even though tons of physical branches are closing down.
Yes, but financial terms, we still make a lot of money off them.
Yes.
Online banking. Many banks. Bank of Scotland. Lloyds.
Lloyds.
Barclays.
NatWest.
Yes, which is now owned by your friend by American.
Yes.
Used to be controlled by the government, 80% owned by the government, but now effectively sold to BlackRock. They're now the biggest shareholder in NatWest. That's the thing. We're giving up our empire. I wouldn't be surprised in the next 10, 20 years, all the financial firms that hold the city would not be owned by Americans. So what do you think the next big mergers will be?
There is one that comes to mind.
What's that?
Paramount and Lionsgate.
Aren't they being acquired by Skydance?
Skydance?
Yeah.
I would have known.
Skydance is supposed to be acquiring them. They're going to be owned by the Ellison family.
Okay.
That's what I remember last time I corrected. The deal's been confirmed. It's just waiting. I'm just waiting on payment on it. Supposedly the deal's supposed to go through. Who knows? Like there's people suing to make it so it doesn't happen, but supposedly that's the deal. It's supposed to happen. I'm surprised that Tesco hasn't acquired Kroger or even Albertsons. I'd love to see them expand into America, if I'm being truly honest, but I doubt they would let that happen.
Yeah, it comes down to the shopping culture.
No, I actually think certain parts. Did you hear supposedly British brands, right?
Yeah.
They are now becoming very popular in malls across America.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Primark, yes, that's in America. Zara is another one. Who knows? I'd just love to see more places, I would love to see more British companies that operate in America. They always operate here, but we get nothing there. I'd love to see Greggs expand into America as well. I think they do extremely well.
They do, yes.
You'd have to tailor it to the bid. You'd have to tailor it to the market.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
we could create some. I think we could create some really good pastries there. Pastries that would suit the American market. Croissant sandwich might do well. Well, you could do some. You could do like American themed desserts. Like you could probably sell some pancakes or something like that. Big American style pancakes or something. You'd be able to. There's so much things you can do with brands. But so what else is there? Was that us?
That's us.